This talk is titled A Roadmap to Self and Professional Development. The purpose of this talk is to undertake a reflective journey along with the audience on the components necessary for self and professional development. The thoughts that the speaker is going to share through the course of this presentation are largely based on his personal experiences and perspectives. So this presentation is largely a journey or a reflective journey, I think, on these aspects. So the purpose or to live is to be engaged. To engage ourselves with actions, we have to, of course, understand how to engage ourselves with so that we can get some hints on professional development. So in our engagement or through our engagement, what is it that we seek in life? Here, of course, we see a person in meditation. So what is it that we seek in life through our engagements, through our various activities? So I think there could be two factors. One is extrinsic aspects, which is largely associated with the so-called success that essentially comprises money and status. And there are also intrinsic aspects more related to fulfillment or how I feel internally. And those aspects are following our passions, what I really want to do in life, music or teaching or research or engineering or science or cooking, right, or carpentry or anything. So being passionate about what I do. And then if I have the space to use my talents, of course, that leads to fulfillment. And if more importantly, I think making a difference. Can I make a difference to the space that I have a responsibility for? Like a teacher has the space of the classroom, some 70 students, 100 students. So can we make a difference? So I think these factors are could also be the reasons for our, these also could be factors that we seek in life. One is extrinsic, another is intrinsic. Now, as we can see, a focus on extrinsic aspects may determine success, at least the way it is called in the general terms, a successful person, so how he or she is described. Now, several studies have indicated that a primary pursuit of money and position may, however, affect happiness. I mean, this is something I can definitely understand this. This is an internal understanding that I have, and studies have, suggested that this is the case. Whereas intrinsic aspects as goal may lead to what are the intrinsic aspects that following passion and giving the best, and as we discussed a couple of minutes back, that may lead to self and professional development. Of course, in the process, success may also come along the way. So, but then how do I pursue intrinsic values in my engagement? How do I undertake my engagement such that I can pursue intrinsic values? That calls for what one can call a positive engagement with work. So what is positive engagement? I hope, some understanding we can get from this, from this slide. So when we undertake any journey, typical journey, there is an origin, there is a destination. Okay. So if I take a haphazard path, I take a random route, can I reach? Right? I can't reach. So ideally, I should take a straight path, right? No deviations, no departures. But life, there is nothing that is ideal. So some departures are fine as long as my focus remains, which is of that destination. So similarly, in work, typically we have a state, what is, and the or destination I want to reach is what is desired. That is my goal. That is my objective. For example, today I have class, I have this presentation to make. So this is my what is desired. So how well I can try to make it, or teaching or cooking or in all this. So what is, I start from what is and travel towards what is desired. Again, this is a journey, right? in this journey, if I take again a random path, I cannot reach my goal, which is what is desired. But in this context, what can that mean is actions inappropriate to reach goal, right? So when I have a goal in mind, obviously I should engage in actions that are appropriate. That is one thing at hindsight. Then some cases, the actions may be peripherally appropriate, but that may not be a reflective approach. What that means is, let us take this seminar, right? 3 speakers and all. So why do we organize this seminar, right? So why do we organize? Is it just to tick a box? Is it just to show that we organize a seminar? Or is it that we are just making a small attempt to possibly make a difference? Right. So the answer to this question can determine whether there is a reflective approach or not. So on the one hand, when I have my goals clear, I should engage in actions in a way that is deeper, that can possibly lead to more comfortably lead to our goals. So this means, how do I ensure that my engagement with my activities or proper, or they are out of a reflective approach, by asking one simple question, namely, why do we do what we do? So the same holds for the participants. So why do we attend a program? Why do we attend a program? Is it just to get a certificate or to show that we attended a program? Or is it to, possibly benefit out of whatever is being offered? Right. So the difference, or when we try to answer this question, our this answer will tell our about our focus and goal. So these are the elementary ideas that I want to share in this presentation. Now we have a large number of students attending this program. So what can be, or what ought to be, the broad goals for students? So can it be just the paper degree with excellent grades? You have 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. Is that enough? No. Nobody offers positions just when you present an excellent grade and excellent degree. And organizations generally look for many more aspects, which can be communication skill, very, very important, and being thorough, and being positive, and being enthusiastic, because that can really determine how well we do what we undertake. And then honesty and integrity, especially for senior positions, because probably for junior positions, for entry level, it may be difficult probably to assess. But as we go higher up in later, these aspects become very important. And a good reference. And good reference I have italicized because I think it is important to understand students, especially, or me, like if I want a reference for some another job or a fellowship or something, my colleagues should be able to give a good reference. So how do we build a good reference, or how do we work toward a good reference? So coming to students, like if you are a beautiful student, very obedient and all in our language, scoring very high on all your tests, but that is not what is to be reflected in a reference, because these are anyway going to be there in your mark sheets and all. So a reference letter should really, be expressing the referees, which is typically your teacher, the teacher's impressions about you based on the personal interactions or personal observations that the teacher has been able to make on you. So which means in a classroom setting, you make a presentation, or you ask questions, you answer questions. Whenever there is an opportunity to make a presentation, you volunteer. These are the things that, okay, the teacher remembers, and then when she or he puts that in your reference letter, so the student is very enthusiastic. She volunteers to make presentations, and then you make extraordinary presentations. Sometimes these things really add significant value to the presentation. Right. And then when you undertake your project, whether it is final year project or your internally funded project and all, so when your attitude, your work ethos, that is going to send a message to the teacher, who can be your potential referee. There, if she is able to tell, oh, the student exhibited extraordinary attitude when she, undertook a certain research project under my guidance, that, that. So reference letters. So students, young students, so please see that you have to, you have to work, you have to just collect, you have to see that at the end of your program, especially undergraduate or postgraduate or doctoral students, for all students at varying levels, the same considerations apply. So we have to work for getting a good reference. And also there is another situation where references can be very useful. So you have done your project with a supervisor, and the supervisor knows people in industry. And if the teacher is the supervisor is very very impressed with your work ethos and all, it is possible for him or her to write to his industry contact, telling that so and so he can be considered for a position. So this can obviously this is very valued very highly by organizations. Of course, that can at least increase or significantly the chances of your being placed. So good reference. So it is not just studies and then marks alone. It is the overall development which automatically comes into picture when we talk of all these attributes that we must work on. So for students at all levels, masters or PhD or undergraduate, development of these attributes also ought to be your primary goals, not just secondary. Yeah, all this make a total engineering, PhD holder or undergraduate or graduate in whatever category. Now, one interesting thing I have seen in my interactions with students is a good number of students have reasonably clear ideas to what they want to do after completing their degree. And it also so happens almost an equally good number of students are confused, even in third year, sometimes in final year level, which is not at all surprising, which is fine because young people, that is perfectly all right. But is there a way I can hopefully get some clarity as to what might be appropriate for me? So I will share some thoughts which I discussed in the principles of management class when we discuss planning and strategizing and all. So I will share some thoughts on it. Now, let us just consider undergraduation. After undergraduation, but please understand that a very similar consideration applies to after PhD or after graduation also. So what are the avenues that exist for me as an undergraduate student at the end of my undergraduation? We can think of there are multiple, there are any number, but we can just the primary ones we will just list. One is a core industry, job in a core industry, a design for design or coding, whatever is the core related to my degree or any job. Some students can also be fine with any job. That is perfectly fine, right? Or PG in India or PG abroad or civil services exam or government job. Off late, I mean, there is an increasing tendency to take exams towards government jobs or startup. And of course, in my interactions with the students, there have of course been students who raise the hand when asked how many of them would be interested in establishing a startup. That percentage is very very low. That's not surprising. So now these are all different avenues. Obviously, there are more. Okay, but these are probably the primary avenues. So when I look at these avenues, can I list the requirements for each of these? As a second year, third year undergraduate, if I don't know, I can always talk to a teacher or always talk to a guest lecturer from the industry when we get an opportunity to interact. So requirements. So we can list the requirements for each of these avenues. Okay, and then each of us in life, my friends, have strengths and limitations. So, okay, these are the requirements for any of these avenues. These are my strengths. These are my limitations. All of us have strengths. All of us have limitations. Now, when we do this kind of mapping, and what are the ideas? What are the areas in which I need improvement? For example, core job needs a very strong, a thorough foundation in fundamentals, right? So let me say I am not very good in fundamentals, but I can always work, right? So what is important is identifying the limitations, identifying the gaps. That is most important. Once I identify, I will always, I can, as long as I have the intent, which is very important, I can put efforts and then enhance my or bridge the gap. So identify areas for improvement And what is important here, like it depends on you. If you're in second year, you have 2 years before you complete your undergraduation. If you're in third year, you have just one more year, right? It's more or less. So this is also important, and it is of course important also to take into consideration in our setting family considerations. For example, I want to take civil services exam, which may typically call for years of work. In typical cases, 2 years, 3 years. But my family is in dire need of my taking up a job after undergraduation. So obviously, I mean, I would think that family considerations are very important, right? Though in that case, what you can do is you can take up a job for 2 years and then realizing anyway that preparing for an exam like civil services is quite tough and demanding. But still, I mean, you can try in those 2 years, and that's kind of an option. And here one can also assign weights to this. For example, core job. I'm really passionate about core job. I would assign a 10 on 10. Whereas any job, okay, if I don't get, I can any job, but my weight there will be say 50% or something. And similarly, assign weight, and then when you have all this put down on a piece of paper and just look at them, it is quite possible that you will get a clearer idea as to what you can possibly do at the end of undergraduation. Within certain limits, this approach can help with decision making. But one fundamental thing about decision making is that for all of us to understand is any decision made by anyone anywhere in the world is necessarily done with incomplete information. There's nothing like having complete information about any problem or any issue. Okay, so which means my decision, okay, in retrospect, so when I look back at the decision I made some 5 years back, I might now think probably I should have, that is fine. This kind of reflection is fine. But regretting a past decision, oh my God, why did I decide that? That is not in the interest of development of the self. So we should, okay, at a given time, based on the information available, I make a decision. Okay, later I can look back and maybe think perhaps I could have taken a different decision, but regretting is not at all a good idea. So please reflect on this. Okay, now after all this examination and all, I end up in a job. So what kind of work ethic? What is work ethic, and what kind of work ethic will be desirable in order that I can, work towards my self and professional development? That is what we are going to discuss now. So work ethic is, just being committed and focused on one's work. That is a character by itself. That's a virtue by itself. Here we see a sculpture, sculpture. Sorry, there was a, okay. So a sculpture is at work here. How much attention it needs. Every job, cooking, teaching, researching, or masonry, anything, everything takes attention to details. So being focused on work is what we call work ethic. So how do I promote myself? Of course, for students also. So when you are studying, how focused you are, how committed you are to your pursuit. We have discussed the goals, desirable goals for students to work on. So how do how do I strategize? So how do I work towards my goals, right? So that requires commitment, isn't it? So what are the factors that aid good work ethic? Plans and goal-oriented actions. So every day, for example, personally, what I do is every morning I have a list of to-do list. And then at the end of the day, if you are able to tick all the activities, and then it's a nice tick, which means you did the job to the best of your ability, the satisfaction it gives, that can be very commendable, right? So planning and goal-oriented actions is very important for students. I often recommend off late a weekly plan for a week. Okay, this week these are all the things I'm going to do. End of the week, take a review, take a stock. What are the gaps, what I completed. So bridge the gap. So over a period of time, this becomes your habit and this becomes your culture. Can be very, very nice to follow this. And prioritizing our focus, that is very important, because distractions are too many this in our life, especially in modern times. Mobile phone is a very big distraction. So unless I know how to prioritize my activities, very often I may end up doing activities that can definitely be pushed to next day or next week. I may end up doing because it may be fun, for example, to do an activity which is not very important in a time which I can more profitably spend on, spend with doing something which is more important. So prioritizing our focus and goals is very important. And this is being available and reliable as a student, as a colleague. We can, from both aspects, as a student, as a classmate. When your classmate doesn't understand something, when you help them out, then being known as a person who is willing to help, who is willing to extend a helping hand, that's a nice feeling that makes the entire ambience positive and nice, right? And reliable also. Not that one time I am just approachable, I'm nice, another time I. So consistency is very important, and being taking up any job and doing it well. That's very important. Conscientiousness. So how well I do whatever I take up, and positivism. In fact, if you look at all these attributes, they all have one thing in common, which is positivity, which is very, very important. Positivity not for productivity of an organization, positivity in the interest of my own self, my own inner development, which in turn contributes to the organizational development, is it not? So that's what I think. So please reflect on this. Now, what are the professional benefits that I get when I display good work ethic? What are the professional benefits? It gives strength to my orientation. Strength is a character, right? So I have, okay, so I know where this is what I'm just trying to reach. That is my goal, right? And then right mindset. Again, see, these are all related. Unless you have the right mindset, you can't derive strength to your orientation. So all these are actually sort of, coupled and closely interrelated aspects, and results in consistent high quality work, right? Test after test, or a colleague, an employee, a design engineer, a test engineer, a teacher, a cook, or anyone. Being like, we go to a restaurant which is known for its consistent quality, right? Isn't it? Not erratic, not random quality. That's not quality at all. So these are the professional benefits. And then when more and more people display this kind of work ethic, obviously it results in a happier environment. Isn't it that all of us would like to be in a place where people help each other and people are happy people, isn't it? Okay. So obviously, though we have already, of course, many of the aspects that we have discussed are self-development aspects also, but there are certain specific self-development benefits that arise out of a strong work ethic, which are self-respect, peace of mind, and fulfillment. At the end of the day, when you see that, okay, you have given your best, and we can just reflect, okay, the days when I think that I have given my best to my activities. All of us have multi-dimensional activities. I'm a teacher, I'm a supervisor, I'm a parent, I'm a husband, like that, all of us. So in all my roles, when I believe that, or when I am able to see that I have given my best, then it results in satisfaction, which in turn builds over a period of time that results in overall positive feeling about life. While it is very important to work towards and to develop strong work ethic, it is as much important to guard against negative work ethic. I think in a sense this is more important. So what is negative work ethic? Some aspects we'll just look at. One is procrastination, delaying, right? So that may have something to do with not prioritizing our tasks. May also laziness and other aspects. So procrastination and improper work habits, habits which are not proper habits that we discussed earlier, like being committed, being focused, and things like that. Improper work habits. And see, every organization, every class, every any human setup, is bound to have little bit of politics. That is fine. But then when we let that consume, some people would let that politics consume their thoughts and actions. You know, so that becomes a very negative feeling. So we should let go, of his politics, for example, or any class. I'm sure students also experience this. And a related aspect is gossiping. Gossiping, which is a negative trait. Gossiping, usually where I just pass on what I consider to be serious flaws or whatever flaws in another person. But in my opinion, this avoiding gossiping is absolutely easy, because I think, like, if each of us can start looking deeper into ourselves, I look deeper into myself, I understand my own flaws. So when I understand my own what can be considered flaws or limitations, will I have the moral strength to talk about the limitations of others? Isn't it? So please think about that. So I think gossiping is avoiding gossiping is just extremely easy. So this kind of too much of negativity can harm sense of unity among employees or among students, whatever, in a classroom, and which in turn affects the well-being of an organization. Now, when the well-being of an organization is affected, then the individuals are affected. We are the organization, or we, I mean, you, whichever organization you are going to be the part, you are the employees or the organization, right? So it is very, very important as young people. Please work on strengthening your positive work ethic. At the same time, also reflect how best you can avoid negative work ethic. It's very important. And especially in our country or any developing country, it is possible to end up in a job which I did not actually prefer. Which is, I think we should accept it. I mean, that. So now, so is it that I remain disturbed for my lifetime till I retire? Or, or is it that I try to derive satisfaction out of whatever I undertake? I think this is also a very important question. So if it is like putting the horse behind the cart. So is it that passion always drives work ethic? Or what if my work ethic can fuel passion? For example, I have a flame, a little bit, a small flame. Can't I enlarge and brighten the flame by just putting in more firewoods? So that is my work ethic. By putting in more initiative into my work, I create passion. Just fine, which is important, because rather than being in an organization without enjoying the job for 20, 30 years, it is always within our hands to try to bring into our passion, to focus. That's definitely, this is something that is worth giving a try. Now, a very important related professional and self-development aspect is collegiality and networking. Now, actively supporting our colleagues is obviously a desirable ethic. I don't have to explain this. Again, if a class or if an organization, if a unit has to be, you should feel nice being part of an organization. You have to support each other. Without that, it becomes right. It's difficult, right? It's a desirable ethic. And it obviously improves relationships and more positive environment for all. When so students in every subject, there are weaker students, stronger students. So when the strong students help the weaker students, then the kind of the class ambience becomes more. It becomes a very cherishable when you look back after leaving university. You look back, wow, what a class I had, right? So in this, trustworthiness is very important, because when we talk of collegiality, I feel comfortable approaching a person who I believe is trustworthy. Trust is always a very, very important aspect in any relationship. Organizational, family, or any relationship is a very important component. And these aspects are also related to networking. And this seminar is a wonderful example. We have speakers from 3 different time zones. Audience is largely, of course, India, and then we have a speaker from India, Australia. Hugo and Amanda are with us, some 4.5 hours ahead of us, and Cindy from Utah, USA, she's 12 hours behind us. So how this has become possible? So this is me. This is the current speaker, Selvan. So I have known Cindy for I think 15 years or something. Through, I mean, I was part of when she was chairing IEEE Antennas and Propagation Society's Education Committee, I was a member. I volunteered to be a member of that committee. Then we have collaborated as part of that. Actually, two of my first articles on education appeared when she edited the education. I don't know whether she remembers that now. So 15 years, and then we have collaborated. Our most one of the most beautiful collaboration was last year when we collaborated on a book and an upcoming book on electromagnetic teaching. And Hugo, my God, what a find! I mean, last year again the work on the book brought us, as initially collaborators and subsequently as friends. Such a fantastic person. I mean, next speaker, I'm very happy. I look forward to hearing him. So this, and then interestingly, Hugo brought Amanda. I mean, this is the first time I met Amanda. So how this network, over 15 years, not over 5 days or 10 days, how it's a very beautiful. I can say that these are not my collaborators alone. They are good friends who I hope it has been a great pleasure working with them. So over a period of time, by being focused on our work, by volunteering, and all these are important. So when we try to collaborate or any networking or organizing, all these idea generation is very important. Ideation. Otherwise, how do you interact with people? How do you want to organize something? How do you organize unless you have an idea for that? So how do you collaborate unless we have an idea for collaboration, right? So I can't simply say someone I want to collaborate. Okay, obviously, I'll be asked what on what, right? So networking. So when I establish a network, there has to be a common ground, common interest that propel our relationship, is it not? So idea generation is very important, and not only idea generation, but also the ability to effectively communicate the ideas, right? So I have to send an email or I have to write a proposal paper. So that needs, a clear, a reasonable command over, the language so that I can put. So these are very important part of professional and personal development, idea generation or ideation, also the ability to effectively communicate those ideas. Then now we have some faculty attendees also. So how do we improve faculty visibility? It's a continuous. It is not that it is a benchmark to be reached. Always it goes up and up, right? So there is no fixed reference that all of us have to keep working for that. The visibility, of course, we all know good publications and giving talks at reputable conferences. The conference attendance, good conference attendance is a very important factor. And impactful teaching. I have italicized there this little phrase because many of us, I know many of us try different innovative techniques, but if we can do that more systematically and if we can assess the impact a particular technique I'm trying out in the class has had, if I can, like by taking a proper survey, by reflecting on it, then it can be a nice paper for a good conference or sometimes even a journal. And then how an institution or a faculty's visibility as a teacher can expand beyond the boundaries of the institution and beyond the nation is through this kind of, many of us, I mean, many colleagues, I'm sure they do do take up teaching seriously, but to just give better visibility, I think we can be more systematic in examining the methods and the impact they have had. And professional volunteering, the professional societies, again, as I have said, IEEE Antennas and Propagation Society, that is, if I have to, our coming together of these four colleagues today, if one phrase has to describe, that is the IEEE Antennas and Propagation Society, which has brought us together, but not simply by being a member of that society for 15 years, 20 years, or not just by attending conferences, also by being an effective, active volunteer, by being an active contributor. It is through these methods that we, and then by generating ideas that we establish and nourish networks. And again, of course, it is needless to say, and trust and dependability. This is very important in all relationships. So, of course, these take years, to fructify because there are no shortcuts for excellence. So these are. So then coming to long-term career goals. So what can be our? Of course, there can be any number of goals, but I just want to take three. Um, Possible goals. One is the attaining a position of official authority. Official, you want to be the boss of an organization or something like that. There, largely, it is motivated by extrinsic factors. What are extrinsic? That money, status, right? And there could be intrinsic factors like you want to make a bigger difference. Yeah, but probably I think the tendency for extrinsic factors to influence this preference for official or position authority is probably more. There is also expert authority. Expert authority is a person who is able to influence by virtue of his knowledge, scholarship and knowledge. That is expert over years I built. Or people, so he is the go-to person. And the third is the referent authority, where people, because of the way one person behaves, moves with people, his manners and approachability, and of course knowledge, then you feel like approaching him for a suggestion, for an advice. So that is reverent authority. We are going to take a quick survey. Let me just. So please. Oh, where is it? Okay, I think I'm sorry. It's just back. So please go to. Just opened a link. Oh, sorry. It's already here. It is already here, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. So can the audience, can you please go to this website? Go to Ramani. Is this visible? Is the slide visible?
Slide is visible.
Ah.
Just we need to check whether we will be able to access the link.
So just copy and sir.
Copy and paste the link in the chat box.
Yeah.
You can copy it in chat box. Then everyone will be able to click on it and link go to that site.
Okay. Okay. So Ramani has to do that. Huh?
No, sir. You have to do it because I don't have the link. No, sir.
Oh, I really don't know how to do it.
Sir, just they can type menti.com and put that code. You're showing the code 6054190.
Yeah, correct.
So just they can go to menti.com and use that code, so they can access that link.
That is what actually this
that's just menti.com. Yeah, just on has given the answer here. 6054190. That code they can give.
Yes. Thank you, Karthi. Thank you, Nagarajan, and thank you, Ramani. So please, I mean, the more the more of the audience respond, the more, I mean, insight will or some idea will get. So please respond to this. A couple of minutes, let us take. There are 2 questions in this survey.
Sir, Gayatri here.
Gayatri?
We couldn't access it, saying that the code is wrong.
Ma'am, it is. I can access it.
I can access, madam.
6054190.
Okay.
7-digit code.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, now I got it. Thank
you. Yeah. So there are 2 questions, so please respond to both.
It says, please wait for the presenter to show the next slide.
Now it is. Yeah. We are getting the next one.
Now next one also. Okay.
What is the option 3, sir?
There is no option 3.
Only 2. Okay.
Okay.
Only 2 options. Yeah.
Sir, only 2 options, sir.
Only 2 options. Yes.
Okay.
So.
Second question is very tough to answer, sir.
Okay.
We want both.
You want both? Yeah, yeah. Always, life is always no. It is not very white. It is gray. So definitely, even for the first question, like when the official authority also clubs attributes of expert authority and reverent authority, then that person makes a great leader, right? So everywhere for first question as well as for second question. Yeah, very good, very good. Uh, yeah, very nice. So I'm very personally, I'm very pleased. Fulfilling career. So fulfillment and satisfaction, that is intrinsic factors. That is what most of us seem to be looking for in life, which is a very positive sign in my, of course, personal opinion. Expert authority, official authority, reverent authority. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So very interesting. Just think on this. I just this just gives a feel about what audience feel at this point of time. We can go back to the presentation. I have a couple of more slides. Thank you for participating in the survey. So
Thank you,
long
sir.
term. Yeah. Thank you, Ramani. Yeah, now, how do we face challenges? This is again a very important question. When we talk of self and professional development, it is very important to also consider how do I face challenges in life or career or anything. That's very normal, right? In a lifespan of 60, 70 years, this is possible. So to me, I mean, this is, as I told, these are based on my personal experiences and perspectives. You can reflect on them, accept whatever you want to reject. Please reflect anyway. An unwavering faith in the divinity of the immense vastness of life. That's how I try to see. It's a faith. An unwavering may not be possible, an almost unwavering faith in the divineness of the universe, which is immense and which is vast, called life. That faith is very important. But there are certain factors that can help with this faith. They are giving one's best to activities, being a karma yogi, as we would say, giving one's best to whatever job I take, and having the best of intentions. So I take up, I want to make a difference. What are the best of intentions? Making a difference. For example, in our profession, academic profession, in every profession, of course, by my homemaker, okay, not a profession exactly per se. So we can all make a difference. So having the best of intentions and no ill will towards others, this is also important, because this will know sometimes okay, slight discomfiture is fine, but when we nurse ill will towards others, that may grow into very strong a negative emotion which can impact my vicinity, right? So in order that we can be positive people radiating positive energy, positivity all the time, so these aspects coupled with a faith in the great greatness called life, I think this can probably help. So faith, it's actually having faith on one thing or the other. So that is important. So we come to the concluding comments. So what is it that we have done? As I'm not sure to how well I have been able to, communicate that the professional and self-development are closely related, and these can ensure reasonable cheerfulness. A cheerful person is a positive person. A positive person impacts, his space, whatever space, little space he or she has. And these in turn can help with institutional and national development. So when we talk of institutional development, when we talk of national development, we necessarily talk of the individual's development, both from the viewpoints of self as well as professional aspects. So with that actually we come. So these are some references which I have made use of for the pictures and some phrases here and there. So thank you for your attention. And I'm absolutely open to dialogue, which can continue. Actually, at this point of time, we may have 1 or 2 minutes for discussion, but this requires an ongoing dialogue. So by email, of course, I can be accessed. So those of you SSN community can always reach out so we can have a discussion. Thank you for the attention. If there are any questions, I can take.
Participants, any queries? Okay, so I hope the participants will contact you in person.
Sure, Ramani. Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you very much, Dr. Selvan, for the enlightening talk. I am sure the participants will work towards their passion and be successful in their life.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.